Well, happy July to you, beautiful people. How are you? How are you? How are you? I trust that life is going well for you. Listen, we are in another month. It's July. Happy July, honey. Happy July to you. Listen, this month we are talking about grace. That's right. I want to share things about grace with you. And then I think that I'm going to talk about the grace to grow, the grace to give, and then the grace for good and the grace for greatness. And then I believe the next few months after is the following August, September, October, November, I'm probably going to really go in depth about the grace to grow. So over those 4 months, I'm going to really hone in on growth, giving, goodness, and greatness. So, and then we're going to end the year out really strong with giving. We're probably going to just really focus on giving because I believe, we celebrate Christmas in July. Some of us do, some of us do. Hallmark definitely does. So, I love when they show Christmas in July movies. But anyway, so with that thought in mind, though, I really do want to hone in on giving this year. I want us to, as we ask God to rehab our lives and with our Sister Story Sessions Facebook group and our show, that's what we're focusing on. But even in my coaching, I want to make sure that we understand the beautiful or the beauty rather in growth. And the beauty is it comes with the journey, right? Like the grace to grow. I believe there's that grace, God's unmerited favor gives us opportunity. We know it's always sufficient for us, right? In whatever state we're in, that God's grace is sufficient. And so the patience, developing that patience in the growing process is really, really important. I believe that this growth and the grace to grow, it's about really relying on the grace of God. Like sometimes, and I don't know, like I'm certain, like you've ever taken a test or you've gone through something, life is full of tests. It's full of trials sometimes, not maybe not full of it, but it's not like that you come out of one thing and then go into another, because God gives us what I like to call a grace period. There are times and even in that though, even in that what we experience externally, circumstances and whatnot, all those things, I still believe that there is a level of grace that God gives us to go through. I remember a time in my life, y'all, God, I was definitely growing deep in God, that's for sure. I remember when I found out something about my ex-husband. He was my husband at the time, and he had to preach at this big church, and it was a white congregation, and I remember him asking me that Saturday night because they wanted me to sing prior to his sermon, and I was so upset with him. Just honestly, I was disgusted, just mad at him, and didn't want to have nothing to no conversation or anything, and I asked God to just give me strength. And I showed up with the kids, of course. I showed up and I did what I was asked to do. And I stood in grace. And even knowing some things that I had to deal with, the infidelity that was going on consistently, and having been what they call a first lady or a pastor's wife, having to be in that situation every Sunday after Sunday, knowing that you're dealing with this stuff and this mess that you really don't want to deal with, but how God gave me grace to stand, to be there every Sunday, to be kind to people, even to the people that were hurting me, but to be kind, I learned to grow. I actually grew in that space. What I went through then serves me now. Does that make sense? What I went through then is serving me now. And it served me even after, even while I was in it. I didn't realize it at the moment, but I was getting stronger. You've seen that image of the man, I think it's the image of a man pushing a rock, and and he's asking God to just help him or move it out the way. But a lot of times that push is building our muscles, it's building our strength, it's building our endurance. God will give you the grace to grow. God will give you the grace to grow. And that's what we're talking about this month. I'm talking about it this, in the podcast. I'm talking about the grace to grow. God will give you the grace to grow. Push that rock, sis. Push that rock, brother. That boulder, those boulders are huge. Push against it. That's the way our tests feel. That's the way our trials feel. That's the way life can even feel. That's the way circumstance. That's the way heaviness on our job or things that we have to go face. It feels like a big boulder that cannot be moved. Oh my God, but God is giving you the grace to grow through it, to GROW through it. The grace to grow through it, not just to go through it and not just to get through it, but to learn through it. Growth is learning, growth is developing. So let God give you the grace. It's so sweet that we can ask God for what we need. So in the time of trouble, He'll hide me if I ask him. I got to ask for it. So if I need strength for the journey, for the moment, listen, can I tell you, and I know you can relate to this, there are moments you just like, Lord, if you don't come now, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, right? I've had those moments. I know you have had those moments. You want to flip out or you want to, but God, when you say, Lord, I need your grace and I need it right now, He will pour grace on you. Because you know why? Because He wants you to grow. God wants you to grow. That's what be fruitful and multiply. That's expansion. Somebody say expansion, right? You cannot have expansion without growth is expansion. If you want to expand, then you gotta go through some things. You got to grow rather through some things. And God will give you that beautiful grace. His grace is sufficient. It is sufficient. Somebody say it is sufficient. So I just wanted to stop by today. And I know this is a day later than normal. Um, but I wanted to wait until I felt inspired to do this, until I had the right word to share. I don't just do it if I don't feel it, if I don't get it, if I don't hear from heaven. I'm not going to send nothing until I hear from heaven. And so I've heard from heaven for this month. And so I am sending this to you, and I'm sending it with love. I bless you. I thank God for all of you being a part of this email list, and I pray that this moment right here blesses you as well. So be encouraged, be enlightened, and I will see you next Friday with another audio message or letter. Either way, I'm coming to you, and I'm going to bring you bringing inspiration that leads to transformation. And I thank God for you. All right, y'all have a great one. God bless. Bye bye.